Hello, happy Saturday evening, everybody. My name's Tom Stoukas, coming to you live from Sarnia, Ontario. On close to the end of the month, we're almost to April, April's Fool's Day, April showers, all that beautiful stuff. March 29th, less than a month, about a month until the Canadian election. So, a whole month of having to, oh God, a whole month having to listen to these Mark Carney and Pierre Polyev. Today was a little bit uneventful. I saw some bunch of campaign commercials, some little policy announcements, but nothing too crazy. But the big story I think today was it's just the Conservative Party. Something not right in there. The team is under a lot of scrutiny. The team running the campaign is under a lot of scrutiny, not living up to expectations, are obviously blowing a huge lead, you know. And is it going to keep the ship together or is it going to fall apart? Because, it's times like this you can't really change the leadership of the campaign. It's almost impossible. So you pretty well the teams that's running it's the team that's going to win or lose. The question is, they have a month. It's early, and lots of things could happen from now until the 28th. So that's the question: is we're into week 2 of the election, and hasn't been the first week wasn't a good week for them. The question is, will week 2 be just as bad? And if it is, that's halfway through the campaign almost. Hard to come back from that. So, I've already stated before that I'm not really worried about who wins this election because, as far as I'm concerned, we need some big, major shift changes in our systems, all our systems in this country to adjust to new realities. And especially the electoral system is not working for Canadians. So I'm more just interested in who's going to win. But I think the result won't be much different, to be honest. I think one will maybe just be a bit quicker than the other. But it seems like this big fix, things seem fake. So I'm just watching to see who wins, that's all. I'm a spectator. But and then we'll see, see who wins and then worry about the fallout after, I think. Because we're seeing a weird phenomenon here. We're seeing Pierre's doing well in the West. If the campaign was solely in the West, Pierre wouldn't be in that much trouble. It's when he gets to Ontario and Quebec. He wasn't strong in Quebec to begin with. His Atlantic support has flipped. Ontario was his shot. Trudeau was becoming very unpopular there, and Ontario was his breakthrough that he needed to get in along with the support in the West. And the big story, I think, today and yesterday was Doug Ford. And I'm not talking about Doug Ford because he's kind of a dummy. He's just the guy in the suit, the big fat guy in the suit. The guys who control Doug Ford don't like Pierre Polyev. I don't know why. I'm not privy to all their personal dealings, but they don't like Pierre, and they're not helping him. And not only they're not helping him, like Aaron O'Toole, they didn't help either. But not only they're not helping him, but they're actually sabotaging the campaign in Ontario for Pierre. It's almost he can't come to Ontario. I notice he's done a lot of campaign events out west so far. I know he had a couple big ones in the GTA, but after he left Toronto, then they started leaking all this stuff, the Ontario PCs, about how bad the campaign's being run and this and that. So the big story for me is in this election today is because not much happened, so we're just analyzing. But you have the like Carney's in his riding today, so he's doing a riding day today. But you have the CPC bitching about the PPC. All right, online on X all day bitching about the PPC. Meanwhile, Ontario PC Party is literally throwing their lot in with Mark Carney, and I I would think that's way more damaging than any PPC vote, because Ontario, without Ontario, it's done, it's over. So, like, Pierre has the support in the West, and the Ontario PCs don't want to give it to him, and they're actually hindering him in Ontario. So, why are you blaming PPC, who's, unfortunately for me, I believe they're a better platform, but they're a fringe. We're on the fringes. Why are you blaming them when the guys with power, Corey Tanecki, Nick Kuvalis, and these unnamed guys making millions of dollars while Ontario burns, why aren't they being the target of the ire of the CPC supposed supporters on X? That's what I'm going to keep asking that. You know, Corey Tanecki's probably made millions of dollars while living standards of Ontarians gone to shit. And Doug Ford does what he's told like a little poodle. Who knows what kind of blackmail they have on him. So, you know, that's the state of Ontario. Like, that's why I'm not really worried about who wins the election. You know, this ain't going to be saved. Nobody's going to save. None of these guys are going to save us. That's for sure. That's for sure. And so it's like the Conservative, it's like the Hindenburg. It's just like imploding, exploding. But, you know, it's early. I'm not I'd be a fool to predict Carney will win, because there's a lot of landmines for him. I don't like him, but whether I like him, it doesn't matter. It's whether he can win. And he's faces some landmines in his personal life and his professional life, but so far they haven't really stuck to him. And Pierre's missed a lot of opportunities to go after him. It's a weird strategy. I think they were just too geared towards Trudeau, the carbon tax, Trudeau, and just assuming they're gonna win. It's a team with a 5-0 lead, and you're just playing like you think you got it, and then next thing you know, it's tied. It's exactly it. But it's still early, but it's not looking good. But and I've seen other people starting to give him advice. Obviously, Doug Ford's people are giving him advice, but they're leaking it. The way they're giving it to him is through. Maybe they gave it to him privately and he didn't take it. I'm not excusing Pierre. I'm just saying, if they really wanted a Conservative Party, they would bug Doug Ford to not at least make Pierre look bad, because they're making him look bad. So, but Pierre is making a lot of his own mistakes too, regardless of Doug Ford. But Ontario is a huge battleground, and if they don't get, it doesn't matter what they do in the West. If they don't have Ontario paired with that, it's over. Quebec they can stand without, but without Ontario, it's over. And right now, the boomers, the ones who are going to be outvote like at a higher rate than anybody else, are looking on in horror at this disorganization and name calling and backbiting and shrill, whining of this party right now in the first week of the election. And right now they're afraid, the boomers. They think we're in a very dangerous situation and the world's changing and all that. And they crave stability. And if they think the Liberals are going to be more stable, under Carney's stewardship, they're going to vote for him. And they smell that shit, like they don't like anything like that. Disorganization that's, people are seeing right now in the Conservative Party. And, the knives are out. I guess Jenny Byrne, she runs the campaigns. I guess she's been there for a while. Like, you think they would have changed somebody by now, but whatever. And knives are out for her, but I'm sure she's made some enemies. I don't really care. What I think is it's just a fake party. It's like, no wonder they're losing. Like Pierre, Vive Fry, whatever, he was posting all sorts of valuable advice to Pierre, like going podcasts. Pierre doesn't do podcasts. Like, he should be on all the podcasts. And the big mistake Pierre made is, and all the slogans too. Like, literally the guy literally talks in slogans. It's crazy. I just started noticing it. I think you notice it more in the campaign. But it's just like slogan salads. And it kind of gets annoying after a while. Like, you want to hear somebody talk like you're having a conversation with them. I don't know, not like slogan. But the mistake he made is the way, and this is what Donald Trump was successful at. The reason Donald Trump won is because he was able to get people who don't vote, usually, who don't care if they give a shit about politics, but whose lives were, so basically non-voters, non-political people, whose lives were who weren't doing very well in the economy and who were disgruntled but never voted and never paid attention to politics. Donald Trump was able to get those people into politics on his side and make this movement that he had that put him into power. So right now, Pierre's strategy is to try and get centrist voters and liberal voters who are sick of Trudeau and all that, whatever. He's trying to go for the same piece of the pie the liberals are trying to get, the centrists and all that, instead of trying to get like this 50% of people that don't vote or 40% of people that don't vote, get some of those people on it, so, he's still in that traditional, elite, fundraiser, advisor, commercials, going to just the networks, not doing the podcasts, all that stuff. Like, he's just stuck in the past. So that's that's the only reason Trump was successful. He brought in all these crazy MAGA voters that never voted before Trump ran for president. And they got into it like a WWF WrestleMania. Like, that's what he did. He got him in there, and Pierre didn't do that. That's a lot of new votes he could have counted on. And some of those non-voters, they went to PPC, but a lot of them didn't because PPC, doesn't have the resources, or people don't think it can win, maybe. I don't know. But Conservatives made zero effort to get them, those disgruntled people. And there's a lot of people that are suffering and disgruntled. A lot of votes, potential votes, So the question, I guess, is what this week will unfold for them. What will unfold for them this week? Will the ship keep leaking, or will it be patched up and full steam ahead? All right. Carney was kind of quiet. Like I said, he was in Nepean today. Just kind of making the appearance for his riding. But that's the thing with Carney. He's got a little bit, like, we thought, okay, maybe this Trump thing yesterday, the phone call and how cordial it went and respectful would help Carney. But yeah, it might help him, but it also could hurt him. It's like a double-edged sword, because now his boogeyman is not a boogeyman, apparently, let's say. So he's got to actually run on his, answer questions about his record. and he's got a month to do it. So maybe Donald Trump didn't do him that much of a favor. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I think Donald Trump is probably like saying, I got other things to do. I'll wait till these guys have their election, and then I'll mess with whoever wins. But anyway, that's the situation. So a few polls, I don't know how reliable they are. Kind of a quick snap polls, and shows it's kind of tightening the race. So like I said, the Liberals still ahead, but very barely. So it's anybody's race still. Even the media is trying to say, oh, it's all this negative about the Conservative, but it's still anybody's race. So we'll look at all that. But definitely they can't have another bad week like last week. I don't think they can do 2 weeks in a row bad. You never know. Carney could get tripped up this week. But he's going to play it safe. He's a banker. They wear suspenders and belts. Play it safe. Let's see what today. Saturday today. A lot of good stuff today. All right. So there's the first post. Good morning. Have a nice day. Next post. I was watching this thing about RFK being blackmailed. I don't know. I'm still trying to follow it. Don't know. But he looks like I like this picture. He looks like he's being blackmailed in this picture. Look at him. He's like, Anyway. Okay. Next post here. Black woman gets caught stealing at Value Village. Indian security guards kick her out and she tries to play the race card. My kid films and chuckles with the other whites. It's got everybody's involved, all the ethnicities. Black gets violent and the cops had to be called. A true Canadian multicultural shopping experience. Diversity. My question is, why do you need, how the hell do you need security guards at Value Village? Like, it's a junk store. I love going to Value Village. Okay, but it's a junk store. What the hell do you need security guards? If people are stealing from Value Village, we're in big trouble. Like, that's got to be a canary in a coal mine. Like, before they had the security guards at when I lived in Greece, they had the security guards at the banks and at the jewelry stores, the nice fancy jewelry stores, and the Louis Vuitton whatever. Not at the fucking Value Village in Dollarama. Even Dollarama in Canada, we have Dollarama security guards now. And they look at you like you're going to, like, what the hell, man? It's a dollar store. If I'm going to rob someone, I'm going to rob a good place. If I'm going to, So, someone should do a story on that. I should do a story on that. Like, why the hell do you need a security guard at Dollarama Value Village? That's crazy. I don't know. People don't have money and they need clothes. They just go grab them and leave. I don't know. We got to find out their motivation. How the hell do you want to... I'm going to rob a Value Village. Or I'm going to shoplift at Value. If you're going to shoplift, you might as well shoplift something new. Anyway, I want to watch this. Why not? Let's see if Mike.
Filming for my safety. This is for my safety. This is for everyone's safety.
It's Valley Village. What are they going to... Look at these guys. They're decked out.
It's getting heated out there. They're saying that they're blaming a racism on her, but they're not. She's scamming them. She's trying to scam them, but she's playing the card, as we know. Yeah.
This must be old because it looks pretty cold out. Anyway, the point is I go to Valley Village, and I get eyed down by a security guard, an Indian security guard. I don't. But my main question is, who the hell steals from Valley Village? Anyway. Like Best Buy, I could see that. All right, next post. Yes, Sarah Stock. I think she's Canadian. Weird how we defund universities. Weird how we defund universities for not being pro-Israel enough. I can't remember defunding universities for being anti-American, anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-male. Yes, it's weird. Very weird. Weird how that happens. Okay. Next post. I don't want to listen to this video. Let's watch this. Brampton. The Rebel. I like this video.
Every man just stinks.
Everybody
like,
says something bad about
no
Brampton.
point in going there. It's the worst part of Toronto. I lie, Brampton.
Brampton's crazy. Brampton, they're all smelly there, fam.
I went to Brampton like 1-2 times. Every time I go to Brampton, there's always men just wilding out. Like, come up to you, try to jam you. Every man just stinks. Like, it's just that city. Like, there's no point in going there.
Here, immigrants. It's a whole bunch of, like, new people not knowing how to drive. Can't even go on the bus. Smells like curry every single time.
I don't know how real that was, but I hear the same stuff about Brampton all the time. All right, next post. All right. This is from Anti-Taxer. Real conservatives. Make sure you get in line early for Max's rally at the bar. Okay, he's responding to a rally, a PPC rally. Okay. Make sure you get in line early for Max's rally at the bar. You don't want to be left outdoors while he talks about his detail plan to ensure another liberal term. Okay. So, this is what I've been seeing for the last 2 days. Just these guys having hissy fits over PPC when the PC party in Ontario is literally destroying the campaign. We talked about the leaks coming out of Doug Ford's team yesterday. Damaging. Like, they could have said just nothing, but no, they had to. So, they obviously have an agenda. So I said to him, hey, maybe you should talk to Doug Ford's handlers who are doing actual sabotage to the CPC campaign in Ontario instead of bitching about the PPC. Yeah, not a word about Corey Tanecki. Not a word about Nick Kuvalis. Not a word about any of these guys. So maybe you should talk to them. Go bug them. All right, next post. People need to get with it, man. Next post. Our trader leaders turning Canada into India. Okay, the takeover of CPC HQ. So, these are some CPC candidates. And, the Liberals have the same kind of. But this is This is now. Wait 5-10 years, there'll be 3 times as much elected because they vote, they get organized, and they put their people in. So we're lucky to get 1 or 2 Greek MPs, like one, and usually they're just backbenchers. They're gonna have the whole government in 10 years. So it's kind of a vivid picture. And there's Pierre with his hat on. He's not playing Mr. Dress Up during the election. And I notice he's been all in, like, almost like all white audiences since during the election. But before the election, he was always in like a, wherever the hell, I don't know what, he's playing dress up somewhere. It's weird. It's pandering. He's one thing for one person, one thing for another. But whatever. It's the Conservative Party. What do you expect? Okay. Next post. Liberals are just as bad too. If you had a liberal thing here, it'd probably be double this. All right. Okay. Next post. Here's another day in the news cycle where the conversation is not about Carney's problems or issues. It's all about the Conservative campaign. And this is from Global News. This is from yesterday, but it's still getting play on Twitter. Multiple Conservative sources describe a shambolic central campaign with an isolated leader. These are not people who want the Conservatives to lose. So, I have a feeling a lot of these multiple sources come from Ontario. And people are pointing to the rally in BC. And I'm like, yeah, BC doesn't matter. Sorry, BC, but he'll get his support in BC and Alberta. But if he doesn't get Ontario, it doesn't matter. He's not getting Quebec. If he doesn't get Ontario, it's game over. So he can have 5,000 people in BC. Don't matter. But he should be. I want to see when he comes back to Ontario. Because it'd be awkward, Like you have the whole PC majority, and none of them want to talk to him. It doesn't look good. That's all. It doesn't help his cause. So I said, first week of the Canadian election campaign, and the Conservative Party is leaking worse than the Titanic. Boomer voters will be horrified at electing a party that can't run a tight ship. Ontario is slipping away as Doug Ford's handlers continue to sabotage Pierre Poilievre. Without Ontario, it's over for the Conservatives. It's still early, but the CPC is floundering, while the Liberal machine is humming. I take no pleasure saying this because I can't stand the globalist traitor Liberals. Yes. Like I said, I'm not too worried who wins. They're both globalists. That's all that. I'm waiting for the big changes. But, and they'll come, I think. But it doesn't look good for the Conservatives, especially to boomers who they like a party that's run a tight ship, like strong leadership. I mean, who doesn't? But not necessarily strong leadership, but without leaks and all this like backbiting stuff. Even Trudeau, up until the end, he had very few people speak out against him. But here, they're all jumping ship. Okay. What I do? Here we go. So, first week is almost over. I think it's the first week. Yeah, it is Saturday, so tomorrow's the first. Almost the first week. We'll see how it goes. Next post. Ireland. I saw this post on Ireland. Dublin used to be one of the safest cities in the world. Now it's a violent, broken, gang-ridden mess. This is the story of mass immigration, globalism, and sellout politicians destroyed Ireland's capital city. A warning for the West. Yeah, it's horrible. Poor Ireland. They've been through so much. I don't understand why they would do that. Put them in Ireland. It's so beautiful there. But we're going to get the same treatment here. Trust me, the gates will be open. Like Pierre says he wants to do $250 a year. That doesn't include refugees. That doesn't include other permits and stuff. Lot of loopholes to get in. Lot of loopholes. Next post. I saw this video on Buc-ee's, and I heard a lot about Buc-ee's. I wonder how long.
Give me Buc-ee's all day. I need to read up on my Buc-ee's history.
That's
Whoever
only a
started
minute,
this
listen.
place, talking about a
But I always read about these places, and it's like, geez, you could take a vacation to one of these places instead of just stopping at gas. I might as well look at it.
Buc-ee's, and honestly, the internet and the videos do it no justice. There's enough gas pumps to get the U.S. Army ready to go invade a country here. Let's go inside. Just got inside, and when you picture the magnitude of a gas station, you're like, oh, it's going to be like 20 feet long. There's a buffet. There's a soda fountain station. There's food. There's merchandise. This place is bigger than a Walmart. This place honestly feels like a Target. We got Buc-ee's swim trunks, long sleeves, short sleeves, tour shirts. There's a fitting room at Buc-ee's. This is a gas station. There's a fitting room. There's a hunting area here. If there was an apocalypse and I had to be trapped in one place, give me Buc-ee's. Give me Buc-ee's all day. I need to read up on my Buc-ee's history. Whoever started this place, did they have it in mind that the gas station was going to be literally the size of a mega Walmart superstore? Or did it start small and they kept expanding it and it kept working so they kept going? Like, there's no way this guy came into business making t-shirts and merchandise in a gas station. This place is fascinating to me. If you put a European person in this gas station, if you took a guy from Spain or Italy and put him in here, they would be like, this is everything and more that I asked for coming to America. Like, this is the American dream.
That's cool. We need to get some of these in Canada. I'm just saying. Like, look at that. It's like a city. All right. Next post. Next post. All right. Why are Doug Ford and his handlers determined to sabotage your campaign in Ontario? Acquiring minds want to know. So this is on my Pierre. Last decade was about the Liberals. Next decade should be about you. Let's put Canada first for a change. So there's the slogans again. Lots of slogans. Man. He's got to cut it with the slogans. Like, Trump can do the slogans. He can pull it off. Because he sells it, right? But you can't just put a slogan and expect people to. But anyway, that's my message of the day. Why is anybody asking? It's like that, like they ask both of them, why aren't you supporting Pierre? Just silence. That's hilarious. But blame PPC. All right, next post. Saw this today. $270 million invested in Northvolt's parent company has lost. Quebec confirmed. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And there's billions in Ontario still. We invested, I guess, or invested. I don't know if that's the right word. In auto plants to build batteries in Ontario. So maybe it'll work out. But I'm sure Pierre supports that too. No, that's Doug Ford. Okay. All right. And this is the poll I was talking about. Federal election were held today. How would you vote? So it's tightening. Main Street poll. take these with a grain of salt. But whatever, we look at them. So 41% liberal, 39% PC conservative, and 6% NDP. That's hilarious. 5% block, and the rest are not registering. So, what's that 6%? I gotta find out what this 6% is. It must be undecided or other. Anyway, so it's anybody's election still. I like watching it because it's actually a race now. But like I said, for me, the reason I might say, okay, I don't see a change. Depending whoever wins, it doesn't matter. But what does matter is the election is done, and people can see that nothing changes, and then they'll finally get fed up, and then some real change will be implemented. So we have to get this election through, and I'm interested to see who wins. So race is tightening. Let's see what week 2 brings. Okay. I saw this post by Marty up north. It says Mark Carney has one specific job to do, and I agree with this post. He said it really well. It says to finish what Trudeau started, which is to implement the WEF agenda. I agree. I think Mark Carney's brought in as the closer. The closer. Klaus Schwab, the evil mastermind behind the World Economic Forum, envisions a Canada stripped of its soul, a hollowed out husk of a nation where sovereignty is surrendered to his insidious globalist agenda. So yeah, the end game, Trudeau was the guy, and I think Ford will be next to fall. They're the guys that people will focus their blame on. Like everybody focused it on, got a laser on Trudeau, and then they put in Shuffle and Carney to close the deal. And a lot of the stuff would have been above Trudeau's head with the digital currency and all that. So Carney's the perfect guy to slide in. With a sinister grin, he boasted of infiltrating the Canadian government. He did, yes. His grip on the Liberal cabinet, puppeteering Justin Trudeau to enact his dystopian vision, which he has done in the last 10 years, 100%. In his future, Canadians own nothing. Their freedoms dissolved into a web of stakeholder capitalism and technocratic control, which Mark Carney's a technocrat. He hasn't been elected. All while he cackles that they'll be happy in their chains. And a lot of Canadians will be. Give them a little bit, a month in a nice little apartment. Most of them won't complain. They want a post-national wasteland where identity, prosperity, and liberty are sacrificed on the altar of his great reset, and Canada is an easy target because we don't have a strong core identity. It's an interesting experiment, 10-year experiment. And I said, we're in the end game now. Either it happens or it doesn't. By 2030, we'll know. Either it happens or it doesn't. I don't think it will. I think they'll fail. Next part. Next post. And someone was saying, back to Doug Ford's handlers. They've made millions of dollars in the business, which is fine. They haven't broken any laws, I don't think. But they're doing great. And while Ontario is going to shit. Like where I live in Sarnia, it's not getting much better. I'll tell you that much. At one point, a couple years ago, we were like the murder capital of Canada. We had like 5 murders in 1 month. So this guy's making millions, and he's doing his personal whatever, whoever's mercenary act he's doing for. Well, and he's basically running the province. His advisors are basically running it. So last time I checked, we didn't elect his advisors. So something rotten's going on in Ontario, but we're, Canada first, elbows up. All right. Next post. Canada first. There, I just said it. For a change. Look at all these slogans. Canada first. For a change. Next decade should be about you. Let's put Canada first. For a change. Okay. I want to see that again.
My friends, the last 10 years have been about the Liberals. I'm here to say that the next 10 years are going to be about you.
So yeah, basically, he's fighting the election like every other election past in the Canadian election history. But Donald Trump literally just, and it's not Donald Trump, it's just the way it is. It's the podcast election. That's how he won. And it's not, a Trump thing. It's just the way the medium is flowing away from the traditional news. So that's the way the game's played. And Trump is just an early adopter of that kind of format. So he's doing these whatever commercials, slogans and stuff when he needs to be sitting there on these podcasts talking to because he has that pulpit where people are going to actually listen to the podcast to see what he says. So he can really get to relate to people on a personal level, but he doesn't want to do it. And he might do a about face and book a whole bunch of podcasts, but he needs to go on ones that are like outside his comfort zone, because people respect that. They want to see how you do on someone who's not come on, True North. That wasn't a really hard hitting interview. I'm sure it was a good interview, but it wasn't a hard hitting. It was like a canned interview, Okay. Sorry guys, I lost my spot. We're not gonna get through it. We got too much to go through. Oh, there's so much to go through. All right. Just a lot of stuff about Pierre today, and it's not good. It's not like positive stuff. It's like a lot of negatives. And Carney's just sitting back and is campaigning and is riding. So this is coming out of, this is what the liberal press is talking about. I don't really like them, but I want to see what they're talking about, because you get an idea of what they're... Peter Mansbridge. It was bad enough when Ford told Poilievre he didn't have time to campaign. Now Ford's top strategist says Poilievre is heading for defeat. What is really happening here? So Peter Mansbridge is much more connected than I am with both parties, and he's saying the exact same thing I am. It's like they're not only they're not helping for it, but they're actively undermining him. So what's going on here? Good question, Peter. I have the same idea, same question, and it's like that's what the conservative support on X, the ones who are like really excited for Poilievre, like Truck Driver Pleb and Cat Canada and whoever the hell else wants us to abandon our principles and vote for a globalist party. Maybe they should use their what's that called? Like they have the following that they have, and ask that question to Doug Ford or the Ontario party. I mean, to the Ontario Yeah, Doug Ford and Ontario, their local rep, say, hey, we're trying to beat the Liberals and you're helping the Liberals. Like, why are you bugging PPC? I'm not a member of PPC, but it bugs me to see that. It's like weak. It's very weak. If you're going to be weak with PPC, how are you going to be weak over... How are you going to be strong with Donald Trump, you know? Come on. So even the Liberals are saying, like, what's going on with these conservatives? Like, they're, like, laughing. All right. This guy, Vesper, he was saying how Pierre was such a cool guy, and he snuck in 15 minutes for him. Like, whatever. And Pierre said how the COVID BS was all wrong. It should never have happened. Well, he was quiet as a mouse during COVID. I'll never forget that. He had a chance to be a man, and he messed it up. Because if he thought it was wrong, he should have said something. O'Toole rolled over. Because they're both the same. And this is what we're saying about podcasts. See, you know what? I'll tell you right. Why Pierre Poilievre does not want to do podcasts. Because he probably doesn't want to be compared to Trump. Trump did podcasts. Therefore, if you do podcasts, you're Trump. No. Trump is an early adopter. He showed the way of politics being done in this new way. Just because you do podcasts doesn't mean you're paying tribute to him. You're just using that medium as it's meant to be used, and that the people want to see. And I guarantee you, because this guy looks at polls and he's told what to do, that they said, oh, if you go on podcasts, you'll look like you're running a Trump campaign. If that's the case, then he deserves to lose. So, they're saying Pierre Poilievre, Jason James, his deliberate avoidance of podcasts and independent media in favor of traditional media channels is a colossal mistake. I don't even care if he talks to me, talk to Sam, talk to Clyde, talk to Payne, talk to Ezra, talk to Northern Perspective. Okay, whatever. Stop trying to win over left-leaning mainstream Canadians. Liberal boomers and 20-year-old university students aren't going to vote for him. He needs to have long-form discussions with people who have their finger on the pulse. The internet will handle the rest. Conservatives are masterfully putting the brakes on their own momentum. Yeah, that's basically, I agree. In the poly market, 66% Mark Carney. Again, take that with a grain of salt. This is a good meme. I've been dunking on Trump a little lately, but I'm not going to condemn him totally yet, but I'm going to fight the deep state. Damn. Never mind, it's controlled by Israel, and they're our greatest ally. Okay. Oh, well. Got to keep his feet to the fire. I'm not going to give him a free pass. Okay, Greg Wycliffe, next post here. The Khalistiani movement has hijacked the Conservative Party. There are 4.9 million people on working visas expiring this year. Do you think Conservatives will enforce the rule of law and deport all the people who scam their way into Canada? Yeah.
Pierre Poilievre, House of Commons ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ as a official opposition leader ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਵੀ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਿਪੋਰਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਿਦੋਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਆਨ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਫਿਸਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਈਆਂ ਦੀ ਫਾਈਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੀ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਜਸਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਆਫਿਸ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲੇ ਵੀ ਆ ਹੋਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਫਿਸ ਫਾਈਲਾਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੀ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਰਕ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਰੇ ਡਿਪੋਰਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੁੱਕਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਚਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ Justin Trudeau ਤੇ
I thought they were in India. Look at that. They're in Toronto.
ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ.
Did you know that putting mothballs in dish...
So, yeah. It's going to be the same under the Liberals or the Conservatives. Sorry. I honestly believe that. All right. because you think he's going to change. You know, he changes with the wind. I don't like that. So, you know, it's coming back to bite him. Listen today, if you believe in omens, like politics are they're very suspicious. Well, I don't know. He's bringing the kids out. Is that desperate, or is it a good strategy? Is it desperation? I don't know. Doesn't look very natural. But he drops the pizza here, and it's like, that's a bad omen. I had a pizza place, and I know dropping a pizza is never a good omen. So maybe this whole election, maybe he had that little snafu with it as like tax the homes instead of axe the tax on homes or something. Now he has this. Okay. He's never worked in a kitchen, I'll tell you that. Look at him. Oh, like, what are you doing? Limp-wristed mother. Look at that. Come on, Pierre. Yeah. So the guy can't hold the pizza, so. Like, what the hell was that? It's not a good look. Like, people will say, oh, it's not a big deal. All he is holding the pizza. But just look at it. He reminds me of the young George Bush. Marty McFly. Hello, McFly. All right, next. Corey Tanecki, campaign manager for Ontario Conservative Premier Doug Ford's three winning provincial elections, reveals Canada's national federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is on pace to lose his own Ottawa area riding. Yeah, I don't know if that's. He's saying Corey is saying he's going to Pierre is going to lose his own riding. I don't know. I don't think so. Let's see. Hold
on. Almost 2 weeks ago, because we're in the field every week.
Hold on.
This has been the most spectacular reversal of fortunes, I think, in modern Canadian political history by a lot. You know, when you go from 25 up in Ontario to 15 down in the space of, what is it, like 10 weeks, you know? If you look at where they sort of stalled out and when it started to decline, it's a spectacular decline. And, I got polling information, almost 2 weeks ago, because we're in the field every week, showing that. And I had Nick repeat the poll and ask some more questions, because I didn't want to pull the fire alarm in the case that you're in the 19th out of, the 20th out of the 19 out of 20 polls and something's off. And what came back was even worse than the initial poll was. When you're like 27 points down in Ottawa, that means your leader isn't winning a seat.
So yeah, not only is Doug Ford not helping Pierre, but his guy is going on these podcasts saying Pierre is going to lose his own seat. So maybe don't worry about CPC and PPC, and maybe talk to this guy and say, hey man, cut it out. Like, he's sabotaging Pierre. There's a CBC story now. It's a follow. Like, they had to follow the other networks. Conservatives fear dysfunctional campaign and civil war in the party. Sources. I wonder where their sources are coming from. Probably from Ontario. Highly disorganized and a mess. Conservative sources. Conservative infighting over how the campaign is handling U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats spill into the open. Dysfunctional campaign with too much centralized power and belittling and aggressive treatment of staff. More than a half dozen conservatives who spoke to CBC News describe a campaign that is highly disorganized and a mess. The sources include individuals both inside and outside the campaign. So I'm pretty sure those ones outside are in Ontario, maybe inside too. So this is inside the campaign. At the first week of the campaign, they're bitching already. More than half. So there is big problem. Big problem. More than half a dozen conservatives who spoke to CBC News. Okay. Several of the sources allege that too many decisions have to go through Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, chief strategist Jenny Byrne, his ex-girlfriend too. Jenny's in charge, and that's all you know. So, describe the situation as dysfunctional. No evidence of a master plan, and people are left to figure things out themselves. Okay. There's Jenny Byrne. It's like she's paid to lose. She's been here before. Tension spilled out into the open this week when veteran Conservative strategist Corey Tanecki began public call out the federal campaign, suggesting it was headed for disaster. He argued the Conservative campaign was wasting energy talking about concerns around the World Economic Forum, and Century Initiative, rather than leaning on the public's concern about the U.S. president's treatment of Canada. So he wanted him to play the Doug Ford strategy, I guess. Whatever. This guy's a shill. I can't stand him. But anyway, he's leading the effort. All these news stories coming out, he's chosen his lot with the Liberals, and he's told Doug, this is the way you're going to do it. He said it 5 years ago, probably. And I said, I'm telling all these CPC guys, talk to the Doug Ford's handlers. They're the ones doing the actual damage. The pleb. Oh, look how many seats went to the left because of vote split. I'm like, fuck. Pleb's going to be crying if Pierre loses. He's going to be in the shower crying. Shadow Davis, you PPC bros need to stand down and live to fight another day. The house is on fire and clinging to burn you at the stages, throwing away any chance to save the country from the Marxists. Under normal circumstances or whatever, but not now. So apparently this guy, Shadow, I don't even know who he is, but he's obviously supporting the Conservative.
Shill, who put his faith in a globalist and called.
So apparently he tried to get into a Conservative event tonight, and they wouldn't let him in because he's called an agitator. And here's a guy who's supporting the Conservatives online and imploring PPC voters to go vote Conservative, and they won't even let him into the thing. It's hilarious. Let's listen.
Fight another day. The house is on. All right, guys, just wanted to quickly illustrate another CPC shill who put his faith in a globalist and called him a conservative, and karma acted really quickly in this case. You see, 5 hours ago, Shadow Davis threw this tweet at the PPC guys. The PPC bros, you need to stand down and live to fight another day. The house is on fire, and clinging to burn you at this stage is throwing away any chance to save the country from the Marxists. Under normal circumstances, whatever, but not now.
A few moments later.
All right, so I think this guy here is the guy who asked me to leave. I have been identified as a known agitator, and I've been asked to leave by the Conservative Party of Canada. Somebody recognized me as an agitator.
That's why the Conservatives are lost a 30-point lead right there. That's one of the reasons.
That's interesting.
Alienate anybody who wants to support you.
I'm not allowed inside.
So now he's going to go to all his supporters and say, fuck the
Conservative
Conservatives.
Party event. That's crazy.
That is so Marxist.
So that's the CPC in a nutshell. Like, just screw over the people supporting you. All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow and see what the Sunday brings to this election. 1 week, first week in the books. All right. Have a nice night, guys.